welcome to the Patriot Mobile Veteran of the Month. I'm John David Wells, and he's Mark Davis.
And we are so glad to be here. We're about to meet Tanksley, but with some special words about what a special guy this is. It is the Patriot Mobile Veteran of the Month. So Glenn Story, CEO of our friends at Patriot Mobile, has a couple of observations about this month's honoree.
Well, you know, again, my name's Glenn Story. I'm the CEO of Patriot Mobile. We're a conservative cell phone company that we carve out up to 5% of our proceeds and return it back to conservative causes or individuals. And I met Tank about 2 years ago, I think it was, 18 months, 2 years ago, and it was one of the most exciting days. And, you know, I had a presentation yesterday how I talked about how I pray every day and thank God that we have the freedom to vote, the freedom to protest, the freedom to go home and go to sleep after these protests. But you know what? It's because this is the greatest country in the world. And the reason it's the greatest are guys like you, Tank.
Thank you, sir.
It makes me so happy to be able to present this Veteran of the Month award to you.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of Patriot Mobile.
We're so glad to be doing business with Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile supporting causes we all believe in, the kind of causes that people like Tank have been fighting for. So thanks a lot for keeping track of the Patriot Mobile Veteran of the Month on 660 AM The Answer. Hey everybody, Mark Davis and my buddy John David Wells with Tanksley. He is our Veteran of the Month, a magnificent program that we're glad to do every month, and we do it with the help of our great friends at Patriot Mobile. And JD, you've got a little something for our honoree.
This is that amazing plaque that we are so proud of. It's got Patriot Mobile on top of it. And don't forget, there's a great deal with Patriot Mobile if you happen to be a veteran. More about that coming up in just a couple of seconds. But Tanksley, Gunnery Sgt. Tanksley, is our Veteran of the Month with Patriot Mobile and 660 AM The Answer. And awesome. That gets to go on your wall, Tank.
That is awesome. Thank you guys so much. I couldn't be more proud of this. Patriot Mobile, thank you guys so much. And for even nominating me, I had no clue that I'd be sitting in this chair 3 weeks ago, and you know, just to be here is just truly fantastic, and it's an absolute pleasure.
Well, we're enormously glad to do it, and we got a bunch of questions for you. So as we sit here and look at the Patriot Mobile and 660 AM The Answer logos, know that when you go to patriotmobile.com/heroes10, it's 10% off for veterans just like this guy.
Awesome.
And we have a number of questions to ask him. So JD, why don't you get us started? Let's meet this man.
Got to ask you a question. So you get into the United States Marine Corps, how old?
I was 18, just rolling in.
There's a special date attached to you joining the United States Marine Corps.
So September 11th, 2001, obviously it's a date that will be written in the history books for eternity. I just decided that the next day I was going to join the Marines and go fight for my country and do whatever I could to give back. And so that's how it kind of happened.
How did you get your nickname Tank? Tank?
So, well, Tank is my name.
Okay.
Everybody asked me about Tank Machine and how that came about.
Right.
I was in a deployment to Ramadi, Iraq, and I'm trying not to get choked up, but I was on a deployment in Ramadi, Iraq, and I had a captain. His name was Captain Rapical, and we went out on a patrol one day, and at the end of it, he said, "Tank, you're a machine," and it just kind of stuck. And he said, "Tank Machine." So that's how it came about. And then 2 weeks later, unfortunately, Captain Rapical was killed in Ramadi. And so to try to carry on his name a little bit, I let Tank Machine kind of run and went with it. And the Marines called me that. And when I got out, it just stuck. And that's been it. So that's what I go by and I identify as. And I'm very proud of it.
Before we started to roll tape, I asked why, because the online presence of this guy who's doing so much in recruiting and so much for people with PTSD, Tank Machine on Instagram is a great destination to meet him and get a lot closer to him and find out all the great stuff that he's doing. So your service in the Marines spans from about 01 or 02 until
2014.
Gotcha. So what are some of the takeaways for roughly a dozen years? As we say, there's no such thing. There are no ex-Marines, always Semper Fi. So you're always a Marine, but what are some of the main takeaways and some of the memories that you come away from?
Man, the camaraderie that you build as a Marine, for one, you can always turn to a Marine, and no matter what it is, the job will get done, inside or outside, but also the tangibles and intangibles that the Marine Corps instills in you, you know, justice, judgment, decisiveness, initiative, dependability, the list goes on. Those are the type of things that veterans receive in the military to take outside of the military to actually somewhat help transition into the real world, to use their tangible and intangible skills to help them accomplish their dreams.
Talk to me a little bit about in Ramadi, in country, and this brotherhood that you develop among the rest of your Marines. Tell us about that.
So you can be married, you can have a best friend that you've grown up with, you can you can live your life every day with anybody, and nobody will ever know you as close as that man who sits next to you and watches you use the bathroom and clean your weapon and talk about all the pride of being home with your kids and your wife, and you spend 6 to 9 months, and in the Army they have deployments up to 14 months in the past. Imagine yourself being attached to me or somebody else every day, no matter what you do, 24/7. You build a relationship with that person, and when you come home, it's hard to transition for the simple fact that it's not like that in the real world. You meet people and they claim to be friends sometimes, and it just doesn't work out that way. The one thing that I love about being a Marine and deploying overseas was that it taught me that no matter what you go through, you can always achieve anything as long as you put one foot in front of the other, and that there's always one person, at least one, that has your back. And so I built the best relationships in the military, and that is why I strive so much every day to do as much as I can for the Marines, because they gave me so much. And it was men like Captain Rapgold, who unfortunately lost their lives, that allow me to do what I do every day. So why would I not scream from the mountaintops and do everything that I can to help the veterans?
You came out in 2014 and said, okay, now there are a number of things I could do, law enforcement, a number of things you could do, but you found yourself bonding with the Corps to the extent that now you're helping recruit and working with some folks with PTSD. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So I try to utilize social media not only as a gateway for me to, talk about things that are important to me, but for one, there are men and women who look up to me that are in high school that want to know about the military. I talk to them about every branch if they ask, and obviously I favor the Marine Corps. So
Obviously.
I give them the steps that they need to take to join the Marines, and I help them contact a local recruiter wherever they're at. But also, there are thousands of veterans who reach out to me on my Facebooks and Instagram that write me and say, man, this is inspiring, or I'm having trouble. So what I like to do is I get their information, or I try to talk to them if I can, because it's overwhelming sometimes, and I try to help them reach out to a local community, maybe a VFW or other Marines in the area that can help them, or I link them up with companies that may help them, so on and so forth. And post-traumatic stress, I went through a 6-month inpatient therapy program while I was in for post-traumatic stress, and I tell you, it's alive and it's strong today. And the only way to get over things like that, in my opinion, is surround yourself with really good people, but also be able to talk about it to other veterans. And that's what's so beautiful about social media is the veterans are right there at your discretion, and you guys can get it off your chest immediately.
Gunnery Sgt. Tanksley, one of the great things about my job is to be able to hang around with patriots like you. Patriot Mobile Veteran of the Month, thank you so much for all that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let us remind you that as returning to the plaque, the logo's there. There's 660 AM The Answer. That's us. There's Patriot Mobile, the people we enjoy talking about who make this entire thing possible. This goes to you, sir, for your wall. But at patriotmobile.com/heroes10, the 10% discount for all veterans. From the shows that JD and I do to the offers that Patriot Mobile gives, it's just a little something that we can do to give back to folks like this. Tank Machine on Instagram, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm paying attention. Thank you for paying attention to the 660 AM The Answer Patriot Mobile Veteran of the Month.